Good evening, everyone, and a very warm welcome to our Monday night gathering here, broadcasting across, yes, welcome across the known universe, or certainly on the Facebooks and the YouTubes and the X's and the Getters and all of that stuff. Yeah, now, don't forget, if you do like my stuff, subscribe to it. You know what they say, subscribe. And also, if you want to, here we have up here. If you scan that, that gets you straight to my Substack. Make sure you've signed up to my Substack because you get all kinds of stuff going out there as well. So we've got a lot of stuff for you to hopefully enjoy. And good evening to my friend Chris Davies, who was talking to me last evening about the golf. But actually, we talk about the golf. Shall we? The Ryder Cup. Very quickly. Look, I'm a fan of Americana, but I ain't a fan of the crowds that went at the Ryder Cup. Now, some people might think that these things are very competitive, which they are. But the booing of the Europeans by the American crowd wasn't good. I didn't think it was very good at all. So I wonder what you thought of that there. I know Chris wasn't impressed by it. And having said that, the Europeans did win. They just won. So it indeed was truly Chris squeaky bum time at the end, because it actually was quite an interesting point, because the Europeans played well as a team, the Americans played well as individuals. And here's another thing for you to scan here, which I think takes you to the website. Anyway, scan these things, see what happens. I mean, look, you may as well have an adventure with me on this. Otherwise, it's dark outside, it's cold on a Monday night, and so we're going to spend the next 57 minutes or so together. Hello, James Jameson. If we can, on talking about, I mean, I want to talk about the Labour Party conference. The comrades have gathered in Liverpool. Oh, Liverpool, such a wonderful city. And it's been lols, so many lols. And the thing that that sort of struck me was all these women. It's like harpies gathering to speak. It was Shabana Mahmood. It was Rachel Reeves. It was all these women who have so much to say and nothing worth hearing. So I mean, this is the truly ludicrous Shabana Mahmood, our new super tough Home Secretary, and she's basically gonna show reform what for. Oh yeah, she's gonna do that. And if you believe that, folks, I've got a bridge I want to sell you in the desert, right? So Shabana was there. Shabana, I think it's Shabana Mahmood. And I mean, she is really, Labour don't get this at all. And Chris Davies is right. Look, if you don't like reform, that's fair enough. But, Sir Keir Starmer, he's got what I call Farage Tourette's. And you know what Farage Tourette's is? It's basically when you can't get through a sentence without saying, Farage, nice and Farage, reform, racist, Tourette's. And that's what Starmer's got. Absolute clown. Doesn't he realize that? All this, some images to melt the heart there. Look at that. Look at absolute clown world. They really are so far lost. But we'll come to her in a second. Oh, there we go. Shabana, look at that. They just love her. She's just great. They don't seem to appreciate that millions of British people have genuine concerns about migration, both legal and illegal. And to dismiss their concerns as racist, which Starmer did yesterday, even though the media are trying to say, no, he didn't. He didn't call them racist, just the things that they want to see. Well, I'm sorry, splitting hairs, scum media. No, he called millions of Brits racists. He really did. And that's not going to win hearts and minds. I mean, that is really not smart at all. So, oh yeah, David Lammy spoke. David Lammy spoke, and well, you can see my sarcastic comment. He talks about, well, actually, just let's say, what did he say? I know what I said. Yes, you must call his plan to round up and deport our French, Indian, Caribbean neighbours for what it is, racist. Well, as I said, how about we start off with deporting you, Lammy? I'd quite like to see David Lammy deported back to Guyana, where his parents came from. I mean, that might be good enough. But I mean, this is what you call scraping the barrel. David Lammy making a speech. I mean, everyone's going to laugh at that. No serious person takes David Lammy seriously, apart from Keir Starmer. But then that's because he's so desperate. So, so Starmer just started yesterday talking about Farage, his policies are racist, and he's not a proper patriot. Labour is the party of patriots. Really? What, patriotic to what country? Pakistan, perhaps? I mean, you tell me. Bangladesh? Certainly not Britain. There is no way that this Labour Party has a bone of patriotism about it. But it knows, yes, James says, people have voted against mass migration for the last 30 years. And look at the numbers. I mean, the numbers coming into this country are completely unsustainable. Completely unsustainable. And say what you will about reform, but at least they recognise there is a problem. Labour doesn't recognise there's a problem. That's the point. Now here's Yvette Cooper, another one that is just, we in Labour are proud to be British, proud of our values, and know what our flag really means. Yeah, you know what it means because you keep taking it down. Did you see that Labour-controlled Derby Council have told the patriots of Derby, if you don't take your flags down, we're going to take them down for you? So, Yvette Cooper, we know exactly what you think of our flag. We know exactly what you think of our flag. And furthermore, for Labour to posture as patriots, I mean, that's a stretch, isn't it? I mean, that's like Hannibal Lecter posturing as a vegan. It's probably not something that you're going to really go along with. There's a really good suggestion actually James has come up with. There should be no dual citizenships. Yep. And indeed, Lammy chops this. There shouldn't be. I completely disagree with dual citizenship. Pick a side. Pick a side. But anyway, so Starmer was having a real go at reform. And obviously Nigel Farage's party has him rattled. And I mean, all of Labour are basically saying the next election is going to be between Labour and reform. They don't even mention the Tories, not even a mention of the Conservative Party. What does that tell you about the state of the Conservative Party? I mean, heads up, Tories, but do yourselves a favour. Get rid of Badenoch before you're completely gone. I mean, you are more or less gone, but if you're just irrelevant. But reform's not irrelevant by any means. And Labour's high command has decided that in 2029, it's going to be between Nigel Farage for Prime Minister or Keir Starmer. I mean, it's delusional on their part because there's no chance that Keir Starmer is going to be around. This is another example of, again, another Labour clown saying, if the Prime Minister says it's racist, then I'll say it's racist as well. Here's the up on this one, friends. The word racist doesn't have any power anymore. You've flogged it to death. Call us what you want. You want to call me a racist? Knock yourself out. I'm not, and I don't care if you call me that. And millions of people are like me. Millions of people no longer concern themselves about being called racist, Islamophobe, homophobe, xenophobe, if they can spell that one. We don't care. The words have lost meaning. This is the whole point, So all these comrades in Liverpool trotting out all the things that they're going to do, Now, there was one, I think it was Rachel Reeves, the Chancellor. She amused me today because, I mean, she's going to deliver a killer budget at the end of November, which you'll all feel the consequences of that. But a couple of her announcements today were, really, really really weird. Like, for example, apparently she's going to have a library in every school. Did you see that one? There's going to be a library in every school, right? A primary school. And I'm thinking to myself, wonder what kind of books will be in the library in every primary school. Wonder what kind of books Rachel is going to stock those primary kids' bookcases with. Point one. Point two, the other thing that struck me was that, did you know, this is a very disturbing statistics. I have been using it today though. Roughly 27% of primary school kids in England leave primary school functionally illiterate, unable to essentially read or write for that matter. So I'm just reading different comments here. Chris, that's right. Chris Davies sends me cryptic message. My daddy's having a baby. Yeah, Chris, that's one of the awful books. I know. This whole business about we're gonna have libraries in every books because apparently Rachel's mum and dad were teachers. Yeah, that explains a lot. And secondly, hello, Citizen K as well. Nice to see you here. Rachel's parents were both librarians. So she feels very personal about this. Listen, almost over 25%, 1 in 4 primary school kids leave primary school unable to read. But she's putting a library a library in every single primary school in England. That's what this Labour government will deliver. I'm sorry, is there anybody? I saw some people saying, by the way, oh, this is really quite good. Some people need to waken up. If you think that they're going to do this in a way that will benefit children, forget it. That's not what their agenda is. They'll decide the books that go into the library, number one. And number two, why aren't the teachers teaching the children how to read and write? I remember a million years ago when I went to primary school, you learned fundamentally to read and write within the first 1 or 2 years. That was the whole point about it. James Jameson is right. Karen says, a quiet room is the best place for Rachel from accounts. Yeah, but this is This is one of her breakthrough announcements that apparently is going to seize the nation with happiness. So that's the first thing she said. Then she went on to say, I wonder can we play this clip actually? This is her saying that Nigel Farage and reform are the single greatest threat to the UK way of life. I think she means probably migrant way of life. Wonder can we play this one, Jed, if we can bring it up? Rachel blathering pointless talk, because quite honestly, it's nonsense. Obviously, the greatest threat, as far as I can see, is the Labour government and Islam. Combine them, and believe you me, they're very close. That's the greatest threat to our way of life. So yeah, it's playing, but not hearing. Can't hear it. So it doesn't matter. Don't need to hear it, actually. Try it again, Jay. No, it doesn't matter. Forget it. Right. I'm done. I'm done with Rachel Reeves. So Rachel also made this breakthrough announcement that every young person in Britain who isn't in a job, or as they put it, if they're not earning or learning, they're going to be guaranteed. They're going to be guaranteed a sort of a training placement. Apparently they're going to be that's somehow or another. She's going to conjure up hundreds of thousands of these training place jobs for this particular group. Now, here's the thing. Did you know that between July of 2024 and July just past, this country has lost 169,000 jobs, right? Fewer jobs than ever. But hey, Rachel's going to guarantee potentially hundreds of thousands of these jobs I put, again, check out my Substack. Labour is the jobs killer. I mean, I'm writing what I'm saying there. Labour it's almost surreal that where the jobs are vanishing. In this article, which I've stuck up, I went into See, the other thing they did today was, don't know if you saw this, but the Angela Rayner may have gone. R.I.P. Angela Rayner as a political person entity. But her ludicrous employment rights bill passed today. So it's now going into law. She did this to placate her trade union best buddies. So that's the origin of this sort of employment rights bill. But when you read into it, it is horrific, and it's going to cause so many job losses. So, for example, from day one, from the first day in a job, you have got all kinds of protections. So if you are a crap employee, and I'm sorry to tell you, and I've employed a lot of people over the years, you get some like that. You get many employees are very good, hopefully, but there's the odd one that's not, and you need to be able to get rid of them. Not anymore. No. Thanks to Labour, they're staying in your business. Now, of course, in the public sector, that's all they do. They don't get rid of good people. They don't get rid of bad people in the public sector. They just give them a job for life. But in the private sector, the sector that creates wealth, we need to be able to, filter and get rid of the rubbish and bring in better people. Well, that's going to be more tricky after today. 0 hours contracts have gone. Oops. So that means if you look at the hospitality industry, for example, in particular, that's going to mean that they will have fewer jobs. I mean, it's all blatantly obvious, absolutely obvious, that the consequence of, again, Steve Reid, I was complaining about all these Labour women that are useless, but Steve Reid constitutes, he's a de facto Labour woman, isn't he? This is the guy who says, we've been the dreamers. No, you're the nightmare, Steve Reid. You're the nightmare. And yesterday, he got Angela Rayner's job, right? I think he's put a wee hat on that says, build, baby, build. Oh, that's so creative, Steve. Gosh, you're more creative than any of us. He absolutely is, Jed, and more. But he was asked, as the housing minister yesterday, how many houses have you built? Don't know if you saw it. He couldn't answer. He didn't know. He's, this is, the old meme, you had one job. You had one job. He had one job to do as housing minister, and that is know how many houses. Yeah, this is it here. I don't know if we can get this one to play yet with the volume, but this was hilarious. Nope. No, it's all silent. Don't know what's going wrong with the volume end of things, but doesn't matter. He couldn't tell Kamala Toomey that how many houses he built, and all he did was bluster instead. You see, this is the point. These politicians are not professionals. Many of us in our lives and in our working careers have been professionals in different industries and different things. And you took a pride in being able to do your job really well and understand everything. These guys know nothing. It's obvious that you would be able to, if you were the housing minister, if I was housing minister, my first day one in the job, right, David, I'd be asking, how many houses have we built? Apparently, Steve didn't really get round to that. He's too busy putting a wee hat on that says, build, baby, build. So as if he's like Trumpian, Trumpian. So yeah, James is confirming that, Jed, there's no audio at the other end. It's at your end, Jed, I can understand, but we can't hear it. So for whatever reason, we are audio free tonight, apart from me. So don't worry about that. So yeah, back to these horrendous female politicians. So we touched on Shabana Mahmood. Now, here's the thing, that one of the good things that Reform did last week was they announced the essentially they were going to review all those who had an indefinite right to remain here in the UK, whether or not, in fact, they should be allowed to stay in the UK. And there's quite a few of them. I think there's about 1 million, but there's a lot of them anyway. And so that was a very good idea. If you cannot, qualify, if you're not a net contributor to the UK economy, out you get. If you can't speak English, out you get. Simple stuff like that there. And to be fair, that's exactly what Nigel Farage talked about last week. And it was, it caused the vapors amongst the political class. Well, I mean, who cares? They were all, oh no, we're going to have to get rid of all of those really important Pakistanis and Bangladeshis and Eritreans and all really important people who are driving the UK economy. So anyway, the thing is that this what Nigel Farage said went down very well with the British people, I think. So obviously, cue panic in Labour Central. What are we going to do? What are we going to do? So they dragged our Shabana. Shabana Mahmood came to the podium to say she's going to get tough. Oh, she's going to get so tough, tougher than Farage. Well, not the same as Farage, not maybe just as tough as Farage, but according to Shabana Mahmood, if you can't speak a good quality of English, a good standard of English, then they might revoke your right to stay here. Oh, really? So she didn't explain what constitutes a good standard of English, over what time scale. No, none of that. Just vague stuff. Yes, Citizen K, if they think the public will stomach the aggressor now becoming the protector, we see their game. Well, absolutely right. So the thing is that she's trying to pretend that they're tough, but they're not tough at all. They don't want to deport anybody. They don't want to deport a soul. David Lammy earlier, you saw the clip of David Lammy. We have to keep them all here. No, we don't want to keep them all here. And it's truly pitiful to see Shabana Mahmood saying these things. But the funniest thing of all is that all those in the hall that were listening to her, I mean, they were probably crying at this because she has to pretend that she might possibly, in some circumstances, deport them, right? She had to pretend that. But the ones in the audience were saying, no. That's our voters. You don't deport them. You got to keep them. In fact, bring more of them here. Which brings me to the super dinghies. Did you see Zia Yusuf over on the Reform put up an incredible picture? I don't know if you saw it. It's apparently yesterday a super dinghy arrived in the UK. A super dinghy. Zia Yusuf, check out his timeline. You see a picture. And the dinghies that have been coming across for the last several years from France to the UK. And Stormer told us he was going to smash the gangs. He's going to smash the gangs. So what's happened? Well, the people smugglers have developed super. Yeah, here, look at this, folks. Jed's brought her up on the screen. Look at that. That's a super dinghy, which means I think they can get 125 or so on that. 125 arrived just in that one. So. And 1,300 arrived over the weekend, by the way. That's right, 1,300. And remember, Stormers deported 4 or 5. But super dinghies. So what? Like it's taken the proverbial, isn't it? So we, the British people, say we don't want any of these coming here. Stormer says, well, I've got a one in, one out scheme and that sort of thing. And and Shabana Mahmood's going to get tough. Meanwhile, the people smugglers are buying bigger bloody dinghies. I mean, where does it stop? 125? I mean, I was thinking about this. 125. I mean, I've been on boats that can't take 125 people. I've been in ferries that can't take that number of people. So this is incredible. I don't know who's building them, James Jameson, who's building these huge super dinghies. I know what needs to happen to them. Every time, the minute they cross into British territorial waters, the Navy, in whichever regard, should be stopping them and turning them straight back. They must never land on British soil. But of course they are. And we saw the other week, for the first time, by the way, a dinghy, one of the smaller ones, made its way right across, and actually made landfall here in the UK. So, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if the people smugglers start just buying full-sized, QE2-sized vessels to get them across by the thousand. But 120 migrants in that one vessel, the cost of them being in the UK, by the time you've added up their accommodation, the welfare benefits we give them, the free food, the free heat, all of that, it's about 85 million. Just one of these super dinghies. But I presume, there'll be more super dinghies coming across. And it exposes two things: the absolute shallowness and ineptness of the Stormer plan. And secondly, the media. I mean, to be fair to Zia Yusuf at Reform and a few others, we've put up those images of the super dinghies. I didn't see the BBC pushing the super dinghies, did you? Or Sky News, or Channel 4, or ITV? They have nothing to say about the super dinghies. Oh, no. Instead, it's Shabana Mahmood's getting tough on them. So, it's all a scam. You're being played. I know if you watch me, you've got that level of, you understand that they're trying to play you. Stormer's trying to pretend he's doing something. Now, what is this one? That's where my eyesight needs to be better. But yeah. This is trolling. This is trolling us. I love this beautiful, tolerant, and diverse country. Well, I don't like the diversity of it at all. And the tolerance. Reform can't say the same thing, says our Keir. Labour will choose diversity. Of course you choose diversity. It's all code. What they're really saying is, look, we'll destroy the country, and that's it. And we're going to call it, we're doing it in the name of diversity. That's another thing. Don't know if you guys saw, but I wrote a Substack on this one today about the UK's most racist university. And this was, I believe it's Bradford. Yeah, meet the UK's most anti-white university, the University of Bradford. There's a picture of it. Now, before we get into stats, hold the picture. Let's not do the reveal. The UK is 85% white, right? 85% white country. The actually, rather disturbingly, the representation of white people at university is 72%. So it's a bit less than it should be, but 85, 72, right? Can you guess what the percentage of white students going to this university is? Yes, it's under 15%. It has the highest proportion of black and ethnic minority students than any other in the UK. And it's been rising up the Sunday Times Good University Guide as well. So, it's gone up 25 places. And this cannot be. You can't have a university with only 15% white representation unless there's something that needs to be investigated at this university. James Jameson says 13%. Yeah, it's about that. Yeah. But in a country that's 85%. So imagine being a white student at the University of Bradford. And Bradford itself, by the way, is not, it's 56% white. So if the University of Bradford reflected the British university universe, it would be 72% white students. If it reflected Bradford, for argument's sake, it would be 56%. But no, it's 13%. 13%. No. So James Jameson, that's what it is. There's very few white students go to it. So we should have an inquiry into this here. What is there some kind of anti-white ethos that we don't know about? What's going on in our universities? And notice this is the thing about that story that got me was it was a celebration. They weren't saying, oops, awkward. They weren't saying that. They were going, yeah, we've got it down to 13, 14% white. Can we get it a bit lower down? That's one university. Do you think that may spread? Well, I can guarantee it. I can prove that that's going to be the trend, because another announcement at the Labour Party conference today was that they're going to bring back, I think it was our Rachel from accounts that said this, they're going to bring back maintenance grants so that universities won't be elite. Maintenance grants, you say. Wonder who'd be getting the maintenance grants? Who would be? Well, the government's helpfully explained. It's for people who struggle, the least well off. We're going to give maintenance grants to their kids to make sure we can get them to university. Okay. So you see what they're doing, and actually, the thing is that, when we tolerate this, we're being weak. I don't tolerate any of it because it's all wrong. It's not that I want to discriminate against anybody on the basis of their skin color, because that would be wrong. I don't wish to do that. But University of Bradford don't seem to have that problem. Or why aren't they asking questions? Why are we not attracting more white students? It's interesting to think, by the way, to observe that the previous vice chancellor of the University of Bradford was Imran Khan. No, not Sadiq Khan, but Imran Khan. Yeah, former Prime Minister of Pakistan. He was a vice chancellor for a good number of years of this university. Female vice chancellor as well, by the way. So was a saying. And actually, yeah, this puts a wee bit of it in some of the demographics in this one here. This, and actually, Jed, if we could just scroll this up, because this little graph does show quite well. Look at, this is Boris Johnson's legacy, by the way. And as you can see, the kind of the olive colored line there, the top line, it's stable from about, 1990 right the way through the noughties. Yeah, goes up a bit, not mega. And then you get to 2020. Look what happens. Vast numbers. We had 900,000 or so came in 2022, I think. And then I don't know if you saw the numbers, another 750,000 came in 23, 24. So that's Boris Johnson taking back control. And that's why, whilst I absolutely implacable opponent of Labour, look, that's what the Tories did to us. It's right there on that chart that Jed's brought up, as I'll put over on my Substack. So we, as a country, those numbers are vast. They're vast, and that's why actually, in some ways, legal migration is a bigger problem than illegal migration, or as Sir Kerr calls it, irregular migration. Oh, what's irregular is it? I see. It's just a matter of, if only we had the right processes in place, which is what Labour say. If we had the right processes in place, we could administer them so much quicker through the system and make them stay all that much faster. That's the Labour plan. So, yeah, I mean, that is shocking. Yeah, shocking demographics. But you can check that one out over. That was me. Yes, yeah. How do you know that reformers come up with a good idea? Answer, all the other political parties have a hissy fit and tell us it is unworkable and racist. When in actual fact, that has to be dealt with. Nigel Farage is right. That huge spike, I think Nigel called it the Boris wave, because Boris Johnson directly responsible. The Boris wave has dramatically impacted our country. Like in 2 years, you've got almost 2 million people have come in legally, never mind all the illegals. And you just cannot cope with that number of people. Public services, schools, doctors' facilities, GPs, all the rest, all of it. It begins to crumble. But of course, I think that's what the Fabians want. Do remember, the entire Labour leadership, they're all Fabians. And if you go back and check out, the origins of Fabians and all of that, the dystopian political social control class that is Fabians, I think they quite delight in destroying things. See, some people think, no, Labour, they want to do the right thing. It just hasn't worked out right. No, they want to destroy. Citizen K says, we are at breaking point in London. Well, yeah, I mean, what can you say about London? London has fallen. And did you see, by the way, that Sadiq Khan is thinking of standing for a 4th term? So, and how can he do that? People would say, well, because he's imported the voters. This is what the Democrats are trying to do in the States. Bring in enough immigrants and keep yourself in power in perpetuity. Essentially, Donald Trump stopped that, or dramatically reduced that. I mean, Donald Trump has come to power at the beginning of this year, and cross-border from the south illegal migration, has dropped by 98%. So here's the two numbers to bear in mind. Trump in power, 98% reduction. Keir Starmer in power, the last figure I seen, there was a plus 39% increase in illegal migration. Plus 39% versus minus on behalf of Trump. So, like London cannot survive this, but then neither can these other cities as well. And then this is, another point is a good point brought up here. Free school breakfast. Well, number one, no school breakfast is free. None of them are free. They're taxpayer subsidized. So again, Labour's saying that, we are going to provide really good free school breakfast. And then I actually saw, did you see what a free school breakfast constitutes? I think it consists of like an orange juice or some sort of drink and a cereal. I think that's about it. It's by the way, yes, just by breaking news, here's a new kind of crisp you may want to get yourself. Swan flavor, as recommended by 9 out of 10 migrants say they can't tell the difference between swan flavor and any other flavor. Try and get your this channel is sponsored by Swan flavored crisps. Yeah, actually, again, Farage did a trump on this one, because you remember when in the US presidential election last year, and Trump talked about, there was a brilliant song, they're eating the cats, they're eating the dogs, they're eating the pets in Springfield. Remember Trump did this? Now, he may or may not have been right that it wasn't actually in Springfield, but 5 miles away or something. But broadly speaking, yeah, the migrants they were coming from Haiti. Haiti's not exactly the sort of place where they worry too much about what they're eating. So Trump is right, like Trump's always right, basically. So Farage said that they're eating the swans, they're eating the carps. Did you see that? And the media said, the royal parks have said they've got no evidence of it. So that Nigel Trump's a liar. Did you see that? But broadly speaking, I think Farage is right. I think they are eating the swans, the geese. I mean, I've seen some. Yeah, look at this. Look at this. 500,000 more children to benefit. How much, folks, tax do you want to pay? So they can give these, look, there's an apple. I know it all looks so healthy, super duper healthy. But believe you me, any child, number one, it's the parents' responsibility to feed their children. I disagree with this notion of free breakfast. It's not the way it should be. It's nanny state wanting to, once again, assert control over your kids. I'm sorry, if you bring a child into this world, you feed them. You feed them. Don't expect other taxpayers to feed them. You shouldn't. So James Jameson says, I bet the king would like swan flavor. But anyway, back to Farage. So he was right when he said that, regarding eating the swans. So that was quite a nice wee meme, that one there, with the whole sort of swan flavor. So Labour are essentially, they're going to bankrupt us. You do know that, don't you? You can see it. I mean, last time round, it took them 4 years to bankrupt us. This time, it's going to be quicker. And so when you hear Rachel Reeves talking nonsense about, she's not satisfied with the growth in the economy, but we're going to get Britain moving again soon. From July 24 to July 25, the UK economy grew by, that's right, 0.00%. Again, the media don't want to talk about this, but it's true. That's the actual GDP figure for 12 months, But don't worry about it, says Sir Keir. Digital IDs are going to sort it out. They're going to make it tougher to work in the UK illegally. No, they're not. What? You think that... and look at the response to that. I mean, I don't have any confidence in these petitions, by the way, but it is a measure of the unpopularity. 2.5 million signatures opposing digital IDs. And those of you who followed me back in 2020, 2021 will remember we talked back then about they will try to introduce digital IDs. Back then, the excuse was, COVID. In order to stop you getting a respiratory illness, you need to have a digital ID. Yeah, right. Now, in order to stop cross-channel migrants, you need to have a digital ID. And behind it all, in the darkness, is the Prince of Darkness, Tony Blair, who I believe, am I right in saying his son, some relative, has an investment in one of the digital ID companies, apparently, allegedly. So, yeah, digital IDs are going to sort it out. I mean, it's gaslighting. Do you know what I mean? It's absolute gaslighting. No, you don't need a digital ID. And by the way, to work in the UK economy, you need to have a national insurance number. So, I mean, how can you how can you conceivably make the case for digital IDs with a straight face? Like, well, Stormer tries, but I don't know. Do you think Labour will bring in the digital IDs before we get rid of them? I don't know. It's possible. I'll tell you what, I won't be getting one. But of course, what they're saying is that it's only people of working age that will require them. So if you want, only if you want to work, and that's honestly, that's the limit. We won't go any further. We won't link it in any other way, except they'll totally link it in every way. A digital ID, as you smart people know, it's a digital prison. It's a digital prison they want to put us in. The model for the Labour Party, and of course, it's not just Labour, Canada and Australia. Oh, what a surprise. They're bringing it in parallel. The Anglosphere is an axis of evil, I'm afraid. Sad, but it is at the moment. And so they're all trying to do the same thing, you know. But the model that they use is communist China, where everything is linked to your social score. And if you have a bad social score, I'm sorry, you go to feed yourself. Well, they won't take payment from you when you go to pay. We've seen all this here. It's a control mechanism. So it means that bad people like me won't be able to eat in the event of them bringing them in, or travel, or do anything, because they want to control us. They want to control, but of course they want to control you every bit as they want to control me. So that's the difficulty we have with the digital ID plan. I'm glad that the Conservatives are against it. Even the Lib Dems seem maybe a wee bit against it. Reform's against it. The SNP are against it. Here in Northern Ireland, I bring you greetings from Northern Ireland. It's united all the parties here against it. Now, what is it? Oh, yeah. Yeah, Stormer was community noted. Lols. It was community noted when he was making this outrageous claim about what the digital IDs will and will not do. No one takes the claims of Stormer seriously. This is why he's the most unpopular Prime Minister, I think, in recorded history. But back to what I was saying, here in Northern Ireland, you might think we've got a divided society here. How do you bring everyone together? Keir Starmer has done it. He's brought us all together because all the parties in the Northern Ireland Assembly have said, no, we're against digital IDs. Now, for different reasons, but they're all against digital IDs. Up in Scotland, the SNP have said they're against digital IDs. I'm sure the Welsh Assembly, because it's Labour, will say, oh, they're a lovely idea. Yeah, there you go. Brit cards won't work in Northern Ireland. So I was delighted about that. I picked that up at the weekend. I laughed at that. I thought, well, thank you, Keir. You have united us. But look, I don't know if they'll get them through, and they certainly won't work in the way that Stormer says. But Citizen K is right. They may well withhold medical help and stuff with if you don't have your digital ID. Yeah, I can also see you don't get your benefits if you don't have your digital ID. It's going to be across the piece, this one. I mean, it's a complete control grid scenario that we're talking about here. That's exactly what digital ID is. So and then there's another one. This again is so much to hate about Labour. So this was our Rachel from Accounts, and she said that if she can do a deal, a youth mobility deal with the EU, then she mightn't have to squeeze you as much in taxation. And what amused me about this is the youth mobility deal that she wants to bring in. It's for young Europeans aged between 18 and 30. Now, since when is someone 30 a youth? I mean, I could maybe argue someone 18 or 19 might be youth. But when you're in your 20s, I'm sorry, you're not a youth. That boat has sailed. But there's a reason here. I didn't want to explain this to you so you understand what's really happening. During the years of when we were stuck in the European Union, the average age of EU citizens moving to the UK was, can you guess? 25. 25 was the average age. So by bringing this 18 to 30 group and saying, yeah, look, we've got to bring them in, all these young people, these 29-year-old really young people, what she's really doing is she's restoring free movement. The thing that you and I, us Brexiteers, voted against, she's restoring it. It's as blatant as that. And it's all being dressed up and, oh, but they'll come to do the jobs that Brits won't do. Just like, Pakistanis, Eritreans, Bangladeshis, Nigerians, Somalis. All these people are coming to do the jobs that Brits won't do, apparently. And in this case, if we allow vast numbers of more migrants, think about what she's saying. She's actually saying the Labour strategy to cope with migration is to bring in more migrants. You're being gaslit. You're really being gaslit by Labour. But I think the only thing and it is, as James Jameson says here, it's reversing Brexit. Labour never wanted us to leave the EU. Neither did the Conservatives, neither did the Lib Dems, but we voted against it. And now this is a slow-mo reversal of Brexit. Actually, not that slow anymore, is it? So, as I wrote the other day, we're back in the EU SSR, babe. We're back in the EU SSR. And it's basically on this premise that they are, coming back and the pressures on all our public services will, increase further. So, I mean, if they're not coming here illegally across in the super dinghies, they're coming legally, and then they're being allowed to stay. And then if that's not the case, they're also coming from the European Union. So it's whichever way you look, it's a deluge of humanity into the UK. And that's before we get to the Doom budget before Christmas, by the way. Another piece over on us. I hope you've all subscribed to my Substack. That's the up above me is the I think that's the QR for it. So click that. There it is there. But this is the devastation that she's going to wreak on us. I don't see that Rachel Reeves will deliver a third budget. Although, mind you, did you see that she'll deliver this budget on the 26th of November? Then she's supposed to do a spring update with the OBR, and she's considering cancelling that. So in other words, she doesn't have to speak for another year. You can see what their game is. They don't want us holding them to account. But actually, it doesn't matter, Rachel Reeves, if you give an update or not. Every day is an update on you. Look at the 10-year gilt rate. Look at the 30-year gilt rate. Look at the lack of confidence in UK PLC. That's a measure on you. Look at the fact that we have 169,000 jobs, few less this year than last year. Look at the crap GDP figures we got. Again, Q2 2025, 0. That was it. And by the way, thanks for the kind comment on the Substack. I do my best in the Substack as much as I do in the podcast, So James Jameson says, why were our Ryder Cup team wrapped in EU flags? Well, you see, this is my problem. This is the problem. Europe is not the EU, and the EU is not Europe. We had this argument back in 2016, but they still do it. I saw them at the Ryder Cup dressed as bloody Europe, EU flag. I mean, all that was missing was Ursula von der Leyen telling us that we must stand by Zelensky, and we would have had the full EU experience. But no matter how I look at this one, this Labour government is going to end in disaster, absolute disaster. So many of them are going to lose their jobs. It's great. I looked at an opinion poll that says, based on where we are right now, if there's an election tomorrow, Angela Rayner would lose her job. Who else would lose her job? Ed Miliband. By the way, apparently Ed Miliband is, Joe Cool says he didn't get notification. That's the bad. YouTube, make sure you are subscribed to my YouTube, Joe. You would be, actually. So, don't know why they don't send this stuff out. But anyway, Joe, if it's 8 o'clock on a Monday night, short of if I've been taken hostage, the likelihood is I will be here with you. So tune in at 8 o'clock. Citizen K says, what is happening to Stormer's ex? Well, I don't, obviously Keir Starmer doesn't doesn't write any of the stuff. I reckon he's got a chatbot. A chatbot must be writing his tweets because they're not human. I mean, I write plenty of tweets and I'll make mistakes in them, and hopefully some of them are good and some of them might be a wee bit witty even. But like, they're human tweets. When I read Keir Starmer's tweets, it's like a robot has written them. So I suppose it could be him. Thinking about it, actually, maybe it is Keir writing his own soulless Android posts. But they all mean nothing. They all mean nothing, and I can't understand how someone like that can see all that drivel go out under his name and not say anything about it. I mean, but his chatbot's on the spectrum, possibly, because, you know, like when I post stuff on social media, you all see it and you know it. Oh, it's coming from him. It's that sort of stuff he says. But let's suppose I decided that I wasn't going to write my stuff for a week. I was going to take a break, but I would get someone else to write it for me. I suggest that you guys would pick pretty damn quick that doesn't sound quite like him. And I would pick it up instantly. So it would never happen. It never would ever happen. This is a prime minister, and this is what he allows other people to write. I presume, 25-year-olds, special political advisors who have never done a day's job in their work and in their life. This is a reason, though, which we've just brought up on screen for all the Labour panic. This explains it all. And on this poll, Nigel Farage posted this out, and he's observing the fact that the latest YouGov poll there shows that if there was an election tomorrow, you're going to see Reform coming in with a clear majority. Labour would lose about 300 seats odd. Lib Dems wouldn't really do anything. They stay about the same. The Tories are in fourth place, basically irrelevant. And the SNP probably pick up a few seats. And then there's the Greens. And I'm not even sure what the star is, actually. I don't know. Is it Plaid? I'm not sure, possibly. But that's the reason for the panic. That's the reason for the panic. And sometimes you think to yourself, well, you see if surely the Conservatives can see this. Should they not just pack up tent and say, yeah, we'll throw a lot in with Reform? There's the map of the UK, the electoral map of the UK. And, it's basically a deeper shade of turquoise, isn't it? With the odd bit of, apart from London. Yeah, there's the numbers. Reform 311. Yeah, it's very clear where look, it's a lot. Look, we've got years to go, sadly, 4 years before a general election. I understand that. And things can change. I understand that. And yes, there's, at the weekend, Advance UK, Ben Habib's party launched themselves, and we don't know how they're going to do. So, but what I'm saying to you is that I believe by 2029, politics will have dramatically changed. James Jameson says, I think the SNP will lose seats. Yeah, I don't know, James. I think the unpopularity of Labour is such that they mightn't. Citizen K says, I'm not a Nigel fan, but he's all we've got that has a chance. And I think a lot of people are taking that pragmatic view. But put it like this, we've got a few years before we make a final determination. But my view on it is that whatever hell happens, we need Labour out. If this country is to even survive, it's existential. It's a bit like, I've talked to my American friends, and they say to me, we lived through hell between 2020 and 2024 when Joe Biden was in, whenever the zombie who, lived, didn't he lived in the basement, didn't he? He slept in the basement, and they had to survive those 4 years. And I suppose if you think about it, we're going through the same period here, only they've gone through the 4 years. They've got Trump, they've got JD Vance. And by the way, I was in a shop earlier today, and they were asking me they wanted to send me some VIP points or some such nonsense. And they said, can we have your email address? Which they had anyway. So I gave them it, which is obviously Vance is the second name. So the girl behind the counter says, Vance, she says, that's a very unusual name, isn't it? You hardly ever hear that. And I said, well, the American vice president's called that. He says, oh, yeah, yeah. But she was about 20, she probably didn't know that. But anyway, the thing is that there's a lot of water to flow under the bridge. I hope by 2029 we get our Trump or whatever version of it we're going to get. Whether it's Benababe, whether it's Nigel Farage, I don't think that's the area to concentrate on. I think the area to concentrate on is defeating Labour everywhere. Because I think the Tories are gone. The Tories are gone. Bye-bye, Kemi. You're hanging around. There's no point. You're gone. And I think Labour should, if things work out, they will be destroyed. Well, Citizen K says we're in the darkest hour. But remember, the darkest hour comes before the dawn. So that's why we have to dig in, folks. And if there's nothing else I hope to try and do in this little community I have, is to hold us all together so that we know that the dark will eventually lift and the dawn will come in. That's what's happened in America. That's what happened last November when President Trump won. I mean, they're still trying to cope with it. And therefore, yes, Jed, we mustn't divide and we mustn't fight amongst each other. That is not the way. James Jameson says J.D. Vance will make a great president. He sure will. He sure will. He has. I can't wait. Trump's a one-off. I mean, even as we're talking about this tonight, I know that Benjamin Netanyahu is in the White House with President Trump, and they're trying to put together some sort of deal to bring about an end to the hostilities in Gaza. And I hope that all works out. And President Trump is a historical figure, no doubt about it. But, J.D. Vance ain't half bad. And he's a much younger man. He's only in his early 40s. So, I would hope that America will have years of cleansing itself from the degeneracy, the abomination of the Obama and Biden years. So that's what I would say. But we need it as well. We really do. And so, as my producer often says, we shouldn't kick out in pursuance of perfection. Let's put it this way: we shouldn't kick out that which is desirable. If you follow me, and by 2029, the only thing that I really want is Labour gone, destroyed, the Uni Party destroyed. That's what I want. And you can tell at the moment, that's why the Conservatives can't make an inroad. They're gone. Reform have taken their clothes and doing a better job. Now, of course, Reform have no track record to judge on, obviously, but it's how it is. It's just how it is. So that's why the Tories are toast, and I want to see Labour toast as well, because the Uni Party's bad in every which way. Those vast numbers that have come into our country. The Boris wave. That was Conservatives did that to you. It was Conservatives that locked you down in 2020 and took away your freedom and told you had to get the jab. It was Conservatives that done that. So don't forgive them. And I get the feeling a lot of people don't. I won't forgive them. And good. I'm good with it. And that's why they're busted flush. But Labour is something else. And as I say, this has just been day one of the comrades gathered in Liverpool. Oh, did you see, by the way, they also voted, the comrades voted in the hall in Liverpool to recognise the genocide in Gaza. How cringe is that? How cringe is that? But whether the party leadership chooses to do that is a different matter, of course. So, look, folks, we're coming to the end of our allocated time, and there's another day of Labour tomorrow, by the way. So, that's so much rich material. As I explained to someone else today, the Labour Party conference is a target-rich environment for me. It's a really good. You love to see it. The Conservative Party party conference won't be as good, but this one is really good because just about every speaker on every subject is a complete imbecile and a moron, and everything that they're proposing won't work, can't work, and you know why it can't work in the final analysis? Socialism doesn't work. It never has. It never will. Yes. If you want to, please scan the QR code for my Substack. There you go. and you will get daily updates from me on the whole sort of range of topics as they come into my mind. So yeah, so scan that, and don't forget to check sub to my Substack and to my YouTube. I'm going to try and give YouTube another go. I mean, I feel aggrieved at them for all kinds of censorship reasons, but give it a go. And Citizen K says, why not recognize the murder of Charlie Kirk? I think that is, can't quite read the screen. Let me see. Of Christians. Oh yeah, Christian. Well, yes, that's a good point. Yeah, finishing this one. Yeah, why not? The number of Christians. Yeah, this is a Christian nurse, by the way, who has been persecuted. The Christian Concern folks, they've been in contact with me, and I'm doing my best to publicize this. But whether it's Christians being persecuted in the NHS, just hold that. This nurse was branded a danger to the public because she called a racist transgender pedo Mister, which I could have thought of many worse things to call him, but she called him Mister, and she was deemed a danger to the public. Unbelievable. But I mean, in Nigeria, there's thousands of Christians. I don't know if you saw last week. Thousands of them were being burnt out of their places of worship. Not a sound in that. Oh no, Greta's too busy with the flotilla to Gaza. So isn't it interesting? And it's maybe an existential point to leave you with. But my punchline on all of this stuff we talk about is, I believe we live in a spiritual battle between good and evil. It manifests itself in all these issues we've talked about tonight, but I do believe that. And so it's not surprising that Christians who hopefully do their best to be good, as best we're able to. We're all fallen, but we do our best to live good lives and be good people, that we can become the most persecuted, and it's not, I don't think it's coincidental that someone like Charlie Kirk was shot to death. I don't think it's coincidental that Mormon church was burnt down and people killed there the other day as well. These things are not coincidental. It's the outworking of the spiritual battle. But anyway, I've done my battle with you guys for the past hour and against the clock. So thanks very much for tuning in tonight. It's been good to spend the time with you. Don't forget to check out my Substack tomorrow, my podcast tomorrow, and I'll catch up with you folks later in the week. But for me, for tonight, it's good night.